And we would like to begin our board meeting with our Native American land acknowledgement. Today, we want to begin our meeting and our school year by acknowledging that we gather as David Douglas School District on the traditional land of Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kayupuya, Molalla, and other tribes, past and present, who made their homes along the Columbia and Willamette rivers, and honoring with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. We want to again acknowledge the impact of the forced removal, violence, and attempted erasure of the lives and legacies of Indigenous people, past and present, and to commit to creating an educational environment that honors Indigenous history and contributions and encourages the continual pursuit of better stewardship of the land that we inhabit as well. All right, and next we will move on to public comment. I don't know if we had anybody sign up. No public comment today. Okay. So next we'd like to invite EDA. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. If you don't know me, I'm Alice Upperharder. I am the president of David Douglas Education Association. I just have a brief statement. I just kind of maybe in a similar mind frame as all of you, with things are ramping up, right? Yeah, we are getting going. Although MECP has been working all summer. So we've already been kind of doing some prep work with them, and they are doing their regular work schedule. I did want to extend a thank you to HR for all the work that's going into getting ready for those new hires who are coming in. We do have, just kind of as a brief update, we're doing the elementary assessment work group, and some work is coming on that on Monday. That's something that came out of bargaining, kind of trying to find a balance between getting all the information we need about how our kids are doing with the workload for educators. I've also got kind of a similar project. I really want to get the work group regarding the continuum of services starting soon. So that's on my radar as well. I appreciate that updates are coming tonight about how all the construction on all the bond work is going. I'm very curious to hear about that. I did want to mention that our DDEA building and team reps should be reaching out to our school board members this fall, just trying to make connections and help you guys kind of see what's going on in the schools, invite you to events, welcome you into those spaces. So just be on the lookout for that. And I also wanted to invite our administrators and our school board to the annual DDEA pizza lunch. That'll be on the Thursday of our in-service week. So that's for licensed staff, and we'd love to invite our administrators as well and our school board members to just take part in that community event. So that's all I've got. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I do not see anyone from OSCA. Lori, to give comment today? No? Okay. All right, then family ambassadors, we are well ahead of schedule. Are you?
Yeah.
We're okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
welcome.
So, good evening, school board members. My name is Aida Perez Valerio, and I'm the proud and I have the privilege to be the Communications, Family Engagement, and Strategic Partnerships Director for our school district. We're very excited to share a report with you today on our Family Ambassador Program, which aligns with our strategic plan. Focus area number 2, which is communications, family, and community engagement. In this initiative, the Family Ambassador Program centers on recruitment and supporting families that are interested in becoming family ambassadors. Now, family ambassadors is a model inspired by a pilot program that was launched several years ago at our elementary school, Earl Boyles, in partnership with the Children's Institute. It's a partnership that we used to have. And what Children's Institute offered to family leaders was a free community health training. And that training equipped those family leaders with the knowledge to help other families navigate the health system. So we took that initiative, or we took that information, and that's what helped guide this specific objective on our strategic plan. So this model, the Family Ambassador model, can be found across the country in several school districts. It usually goes by different names. Sometimes it's Family University, and it has several other names. And I think we are very excited that we get to do this here in our community. So joining me today is my team, Cassie, Heather, and TD. They have been instrumental in bringing this program to life. And we're also very proud to have a few of our family ambassadors tonight. And then after my team, they will have the opportunity to share their experience. So thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is TD McCullum, Family Engagement Specialist.
And I'm Heather Miller, Family Engagement Specialist, but also a proud David Douglas High School mom.
And I'm Cassie Wood, your Family Community Partnership Supervisor. I'm also a David Douglas parent and a David Douglas graduate. So today we want to share a little bit about our Family Ambassador program. As Ida shared, we're really excited to have it here in David Douglas. As we were building the program, we pulled from many different resources, anything that we could find. How do we use them as building blocks? And as with everything that we do, we centered our students and their families in all of our work. The purpose of the Family Ambassador program is to bring all of our family leaders together in one space, and we really wanted to provide a space for them to share their knowledge, their tools, and also their experiences. So we know in education that when students have a trusted adult in their building, they have a higher success rate. So we thought, how wonderful would it be if our families also have that same opportunity and they have that connection and a trusted person connected to education. So we're really hoping that our family ambassadors bridge that gap for us. Our program has 3 pillars. The first is encouraging our families to engage in leadership roles and participate in the decision making to include the voice of those who are typically underrepresented. The second is to promote, practice, and encourage asset-based, intentional, and open communication between everyone. And the last is to empower our families to share their knowledge, share their strengths, and to use their tools to actively support all of our students.
You might be asking how we made this happen. We recruited David Douglas parents through the different district events for the district, but also we asked our ambassadors for recommendations from their school buildings. After doing this, we had 25 potential ambassadors that were interested in getting more information about the program between the referrals and the district events. They wanted more information, and so we reached out to them and shared more information with each of them on their different preferred method of communication. When we started the program, we had 11 caregivers who were committed to the first meeting, coming and learning more. And at the end of the program, we had 9 David Douglas family ambassadors who built a strong team of community leaders.
So what did the workshop sessions look like in our first year? Every session began with a Care and Connect question and a time to socialize and build community. Each family ambassador was provided with a binder of key information about the program, including our presentation slides and a section for notes. Our family ambassadors also receive small tokens of gratitude, like a David Douglas pen and a DDSD communications mug. Some sessions were led by the family engagement team, while others were led by district leaders. Each session, the family ambassadors learned from district leaders, learned from each other, and participated in rich discussion. So, what were the themes? In October, it was community. We took time at the beginning of each session to connect before content and provided a safe space where everyone could be authentic and vulnerable. In November, it was staying connected. We shared the details of different methods to stay connected, like Parent Square and Parent View, and we troubleshooted different problems that parents face when navigating these apps. In December, we did attendance. Kennan Ginsberg came to discuss safe attendance rates and common barriers families and students face. In January, we did student support. Florence and Sarah Altig came to share about the many services offered to students and how to access these services. In February, we did safety with Nate Shelley, came and shared about internet and technology safety. Florence came back again and shared about PBIS, restorative practices, and ways to report important information. As we started to close off the year in March, we did pathways to graduation. Elise Hall came to share about graduation requirements and key performance indicators. And to wrap it all up, in April, we did the path forward. It was a celebration. There we go. It was a celebration. We invited building administrators to join us. We reflected on the school year and shared next steps and gathered feedback on what to keep and what to change for our second cohort. So now I have the honor of welcoming a few of our cohort 1 family ambassadors this evening.
Hello, good afternoon and evening. My name is Carla. I have 3 kids at Menlo Park, pre-K, first grade and second grade. And I just wanted to say one of the goals was to, of the Family Ambassadors Program was to create a community within the school, first of school. And for me, it was more like community within the cohorts. One of the reasons why I said that is because when we went to the meetings, they heard about our concerns, and we felt that they knew what we wanted. Obviously, not everything's going to be resolved in one, oh yeah, I'm going to resolve it the next day, but they heard what we wanted, what our concerns were, and that was one of the reasons why I thought it was great, because they created they gave us the confidence that we voiced those concerns, and the staff and everybody gave us an idea, and then I also learned about a lot of the things that I didn't know, because my kids are in like elementary school, they're just starting, so I didn't know about these programs or and all of these, and I'm just keep learning. I'm just learning about it too. Go ahead.
My name is Alyssa McCann, and I have 3 students at Gilbert Heights Elementary in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and an incoming kindergartner. And one of the things I really loved about the Family Ambassador Program was that it included members of the community from different steps in David Douglas. So we had elementary from the different elementary schools, junior high, and the high school, and I felt like that really brought a really rich and just some different perspectives that was really helpful. I loved that we were discussing real life issues in real time, like PD had mentioned, like the Parent View and the different apps and the different issues that were happening that had a direct impact to our students. It just felt like a really rich learning experience, and I had ended this first year feeling like a valued member of the community, which was really important to me. I definitely feel more connected to the district and more confident to share information about the school or about any events or different things that David Douglas is doing.
I'm Brittany Berger. I have 2 incoming freshmen into David Douglas and 1 junior at David Douglas and an incoming 6th grader into Floyd Lake. Another goal of the Family Ambassador Program was clear communication between everyone. They ensured communication was intentional and open by having planned education sessions for Family Ambassador participants. And it was followed all by discussion and just time for us to provide feedback. I was pleasantly surprised to learn that just about different district policies and data and statistics within all the schools. We were given a safe space to openly discuss barriers and pitfalls in our own experiences, and we were educated and encouraged to use proper protocols for communication throughout the district and within individual schools. We were also encouraged to communicate with other families we know in the district about processes, and we learned for handling conflicts and concerns. Having teenagers, I often have other teenagers come to my house and tell me about things that are going on, and I was able to give their parents some hey, this is what you could do instead. Another great thing was there was some information about the Parent View and Parent Square, and while most of us were using it and we had those on our phones, we all kind of had barriers to using it and some technological issues that the district wasn't even aware of, so we were able to voice those, and it just turned out to be really excellent collaboration. One of our fellow ambassadors, Myra Tellez, she really wanted to be here today, but she asked for one of us to read her statement. She's a parent to 3 students in the district, 1 at Gilbert Heights, 1 at Alice Ott, and 1 at David Douglas Online Academy. She said, leadership is another goal of the Family Ambassador Program, sharing multiple ways to engage in leadership roles throughout the district and how to participate in decision making. The program encouraged us to do this by giving us the opportunity to be part of the Family Ambassador Program. This allowed us to not only participate but engage, share our experiences, learn from each other, and to take the role of leadership by sharing our ideas and feedback. Being able to be part of something where we can be heard and be taken into action to make a difference in our students and community is beyond exceptional. She said, I've always been a big advocate for my kids, especially with them being neurodivergent. I have learned to speak up and be their voices. However, not everyone listens, supports, and understands. With my short time with David Douglas District and the experience of being part of the program, I finally felt supported and not alone when advocating for my children. Knowing that Heather, TD, Cassie, and Ide are only a call away is a true blessing.
I guess final thought is it helped us felt the sense of belonging, because they heard what we had to say, even though I was just there for I've been at David Douglas for a couple years because my kids are small. I felt like I know what I want and what I need from David Douglas.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some questions, if that's okay. First, how did you, well, I kind of heard how you were recruited, but I'm curious about kind of the process. Are you all part of your site councils or PTAs, or are you just known? How do you think you were brought in as potential candidates?
Well, I guess, like I said, Current Square is the #1 communication for me from the school district. So I got a notification oh, we invite you to be family ambassadors, and I read what it was. I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm still learning, in school wise, because my kids are small. And I'm like, it's a good learning experience for me because I want to know more about the school district, the school as well, and all the programs or everything that it has to offer. And that's how I applied for it. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, oh, you're one of the selected to be able to family ambassador. But I don't know how everybody else got to sign up for it. Yeah.
I was part of the parent group at the elementary school, and so I think it was a back to school night or something. Phoebe was like, you need to be a part of this. I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm glad you did though. It's good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I met Heather at a back to school night and they had a table there and I walked up because there was no one else there. And everywhere else was crowded, and so she asked me about my family and was very interested, and so it encouraged me to talk, and so she found out I had kids at every level, and she was like, you need to do that.
Yeah.
So then TV called me like the next week.
So to add to that, thank you. We also asked our administrators, our school principals, if they had recommendations. Any family that they know that has or is willing. We know that time sometimes is difficult, that commitment. So they give us recommendations through Parent Square, and then the team reach out to the parents to basically ask them, hey, you have submitted this, or you were referred by your school principal. Are you interested? And describe the program, the pilot, because this is our first year.
And what's your length of commitment? Is this like as long as you want to do it? Is this like a year to year program?
No.
It's a one-year commitment,
Okay.
so we have monthly meetings from October to April. The meetings are 2 hours long.
Yeah.
They're in the evening, they're mostly in person. And we've talked about doing hybrid to accommodate families, but we ask for a 1-year commitment, learn this information, share it with your school community and the district community, those that are around you. And then upcoming, we also have our family ambassadors from cohort 1 that potentially may be stepping into some leadership roles where they're leading workshops.
Very cool.
And other building-based leadership.
Okay, and one more question, and then I'll pass. So, and then tell us a little bit about like how you're disseminating the information that you're learning. I mean, I'm assuming it maybe is different person to person, but I'm curious like how you're seeing that part, the leadership, the sharing out.
I can speak to that. I just had a conversation. So my kids never needed things like EIPs or anything like that, but through this program, I got to learn about all the different processes behind that, and at least get like a background level. And a friend of mine who our kids are best friends, and we were connecting because we have ingoing 6th graders, and we just wanted to connect before the year. And she was talking about wanting to do an EIP and all of these different things, and I was able to kind of give her some background information, and she really struggled in elementary school with that follow through with that. And so she wanted to, and she has another elementary schooler, so she wanted some help with that. So I was able to like kind of point her in the right direction and kind of bring her some of that information I learned. So that's one way. Like it just comes up in conversation now.
Same with how Liz was saying about how, not Brittany, sorry. About how one of the sessions we had about the structure, the
family flow chart.
Yeah, the communication.
Right.
like the one where like the experiences and then it keeps going with different types of can't remember the stuff. It's a triangle. Oh, my
Was that
goodness.
one PBIS?
Yeah. Yes.
With,
Because my son is also has an IPS too, and some of us are like, oh my goodness, it correlates to what it is, and then it keeps going like as he grows older, they think it's going back to like what he wants, what he needs, and that's how I'm doing processing that information.
Similar, I feel like things come up in conversation
Yeah.
with other parents, and if I have the information, I know, I can help assist, and if I don't, I know who to point them to, or like.
I'll
would that-
call Heather and T.
Exactly, there you go, yeah, so that's been helpful.
Director Stevens.
First, this is awesome. Thank you, the three of you, for being engaged in the David Douglas community. I think that's awesome. It's amazing. I heard mention of learning how to kind of navigate how to communicate with your schools. Do you mind articulating that a little bit more?
Yeah,
Curious.
I can talk, so if, I think everybody gets like this paper at the beginning of the school year and it's specific to your school and it tells you this is the route of communication. But like many parents, in my house, all the papers we get at all the back to school nights from 4 different kids at 3 different schools, we're gonna go into a big pile and probably never seen again. So when I wanted to communicate, I probably didn't have that, and then I was not really getting luck with the communicating on the apps, and mainly with the middle school. I wasn't getting responses when I was trying to reach out to teachers and things like that. So through that, it helped me understand this is great. Like now that's on my bulletin board. And I know the right channels of communication. And so when something comes up with one of my kids' friends or something like that, now I've been able to redirect them to how for their specific school to communicate. And so I think that that's a common thing around other families is that we get all these pieces of paper, but we're not really doing much with it. And I think that was one of them.
Thank you. Then lastly, this is agenda item 5. And I invite the three of you to wait for agenda item 8, which is board member replacement process.
Yes.
Currently have a board vacancy
Thank you,
that
Director
we're looking
Stevenson.
to fill.
I don't have a question, I'll just make a comment that this is the exact kind of community that we should have as much as we can. So talk to your friends, your kids' parents, and get them involved, because the more we get the word out and doing these kinds of things, the better. And if you ever want, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, for me, in any way to help or be at any of these meetings, let me know.
And anytime you want to come talk to us, please do. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
We also do have a webpage now, so
Oh, cool.
our.
So fancy.
Yeah, we send it.
I know, we're growing, so if you wanna point anyone in that direction, and our interest form is also open.
And Director Ender, I realize I just skipped over you. While we still have everyone in the room, do you have any questions? Maybe not. I guess I got my phone out too, she dings me.
I do not have any questions. Sorry,
Okay.
I missed that last bit.
Thank you. All right, wonderful. Okay, so with that, we are on to bond aid update, which is a presentation by Pat. Thank you.
Sure. So Career Technical Ed Center, so new building is going to plan. They're working on some exterior finishes as well as the interior finishing. High school renovations, just a reminder, the CDC Center or Child Development Center, that's over at North Powhurst, will move in December over to the South Building as that gets renovated and finished up. I do want to let you know, so we all had a couple surprises of rain in the last month. And with that, we did suffer some damage. So we did have some water intrusion at the Performing Arts Center. And so we have our builder's risk insurance going. The adjuster has been out and will be going out also to Mill Park. You'll hear about that later. So again, we may need to increase the contract amount in order to deal with any additional costs and then get reimbursed. So you may see me bringing that at a later date. Cherry Park, the project that keeps going. Most of the commissioning items are done. We're down to one, I think. We still have a couple areas where the contractors just didn't perform well. So kitchen flooring is one, and then we had some issues with brick sealing. They needed to be washed, and the sealers came and it wasn't done to their standard, and so they refused to seal. And so we're kind of going back and forth there. So we'll probably be getting a couple things rebid out and getting different folks to finish that project up. Mill Park, so we had a water intrusion with the first rain, and then the dump that we had a little over a week ago, it just really damaged the ceiling in pretty much all the rooms. So ceiling tiles were all wet, in some cases falling off. So they were able to source some. They did, I think, 2 different purchases of those. The adjuster is supposed to, I think she was supposed to go out today to review. Again, we may need to increase the contract amount and then get reimbursed through insurance. Most of the windows were in, and the contractor's really kind of scrambling right now to make up lost time and get things fixed due to the damage from the water. There may be some work overlaps that are into the school year. So this project and West Power probably are ones that we're most concerned about a potential delay. At this point in time, they are feeling more confident that it will not. There will be things where finishes won't be done. There may not be all the ceiling tiles in, but it would be safe enough for kids to go in and have school. It's just not finished and pretty. HVAC at Mill Park, we're finalizing design. Gilbert Park and Oral Boyles, we're working on the renovation designs for those, as well as Lincoln Park. Fur Ridge, so that one is going to plan for the most part. We have a couple small items. We have the coiling door at the front counter that may not be installed until around August 25th, which is when staff are back. There was a delay on that door, and let's see. We talked about the doors, and we had to replace some doors, and that had to do with requiring a black flow device, and then we had to do some other moving of sinks for ADA accessibility. And so that, when we moved the sinks, required us to reposition the doors, which required the doors to open differently, and it just kind of cascades when we have those non-conforming items. But we're pretty confident there won't be that much left at that building. It should not be that intrusive to staff. West Powellhurst, that one as I mentioned, we have some worry about things overlapping. We ran into some issues, so the new HVAC system was going to use the existing tunnel system. But we had to go in and make some new trenches. There was pipes that ran through the trenches. The coating on the pipes was asbestos, and there was some friable asbestos found. So those had to be sealed, and we had to kind of pivot. So Powellhurst is on track. There will be some finishing occurring there. Commissioning will be occurring when the staff are back. Floyd Line is on track. We did have a minor water intrusion from the storms, but from what I've heard, there's no damage at this time. There's more cleanup. Let's see here. Commissioning will happen during the first few weeks, and it may last into a couple months. We're finding that the HVAC systems are taking a little bit longer to commission as they tweak them. Bond Oversight Committee met last month. We did have a little scheduling issue, so they will come and report in September, but they will be going on a tour on August 25th and kind of take a little tour around to see the projects and how things are going. We had initially thought maybe the 18th, but with the water and things going on, we thought it would probably be better for the 25th.
Do you have that scheduled?
I haven't sent it out yet. But, I did let, the committee members know, I think last night, that we're looking at the 25th.
Yeah, and we will be inviting the board. I think in one of my updates, I shared a bit that when formalized, you could actually calendar.
Okay, great, thank you.
Wait, this is a CT facility still?
It's the
The bond.
CT and it's really other bond sites, we'll have a bus. And
Well, it's already on my calendar, so I don't know how that happened.
I think I sent it out on my
Okay.
email, but yeah. I did. Or maybe Lori did. Sorry, we interrupted you, Pat.
No. I'm done. This is a question.
Very good. Questions? Director Stevens?
Question from the ether.
Oh, go ahead, Althea.
Okay, thanks. With the water intrusion, is that due to either the state of renovations, or is that something we see pretty much every year just due to the state of the buildings prior to renovations?
So the water intrusion happened because those particular schools were having roof work. And so the existing roof was peeled off, there was tarping done, but the rain did manage to penetrate. And so if you were around, I think the August one was a pretty good downpour. And that one is really the one where we saw a lot of damage in Mill Park, so.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna say that there's rain in the forecast the next couple of days.
Yes, and I think everything is sealed up. I have to check on Mill Park.
Yeah. And Althea, back to your question, just briefly, Pat, that's exactly the way, but the reality of buildings, a bunch of buildings with flat roofs. So to your question, in this case, it was because roofs were off for just simplified terms, so it caused more damage. But we have found over the years in bad storms, real bad storms, as some of our roofs get older, oh, that's a new leak, oh, that's a new leak. So that kind of happens with regular update of our buildings and flat roofs. It's kind of just part of aging, part of kind of where's the water puddling now and kind of part of the bond work in general, and why we're putting new roofs on. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that the way that was questioned, specifically the bond, we had roofs off, but we do from time to time have bad storms like, oh my gosh, this is happening, that's happening, and we respond. Many times not many, but we have a bad snowstorm, a lot of snow, and the snow melts, nowhere for it to go, and we've had some pretty significant damage from time to time over the years. So kind of side note, side story. I also want to, I know Alice mentioned kind of curious about all of this. So you heard Pat say for the board that right now, our consultants and constructions feel like they're on track. But their optimism is a little different than ours sometimes. So we have scheduled a walkthrough next week where we're going to be walking through and kind of helping with that decision. If you remember last year, Gilbert Heights, our parents at Gilbert Heights were so gracious. We ended up getting down to and we weren't ready. I mean, the building just wasn't ready. Through that whole time, our construction, and again, they were just trying their best. They thought, we'll make it. We're not going to make it. We've committed to making that call a little earlier. We're going to be starting with a walkthrough next week to see where we're at. And then we're planning on a communication that at least says, hey, we're walking through. As of today, it looks like we're on track, but please be watching the emails, keeping track. And then another email we'll be sending out, or communication we'll be sending out to all families is following bond work as we transition back. There will be some limited construction in a lot of different places. Safety, kind of just flagging that for everyone involved, and patients, those type of things. So anyway, more to come on that. Fingers crossed, optimistic, but also we're tracking it.
Thank you.
The bleachers in the North Gym, are they, the infrastructure, the engineering, did that get sorted?
I believe it did, yes.
So they're should be done before school starts, or?
That I have to check on, but last I heard, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is an action item. I could have a motion.
Motion to accept.
Can I, you hearing me, sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, would the board chair entertain a motion to remove some items out of the consent agenda to be voted on separately?
Yes, but first,
There's an item go ahead.
we can do that, but first we have to have a motion to bring it
Fair enough.
to the floor. So I have to have a motion for approval in a second, and then we can amend, correct?
Any discussions, you can go through them.
Right. So yes, Althea, we have to a motion for.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. So now that we're in deliberation, Althea, what would you like to move?
Yeah, if I would be moving to remove the approval of the July emergency board meeting minutes, just to be separate from the consent agenda.
Okay.
It's something I intend to abstain from.
Okay. All right.
If it's appropriate on that topic, I would like to see the minutes removed from the consent agenda, because not every minutes are gonna be consentable, because not every board member is necessarily going to be at the previous board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be nice to see it at the top of the meeting, and just.
Okay.
It was the first boring action item of the day, and we're gonna approve the minutes from last meeting as just as the board, and I know it seems kind of tedious, but it's a not a great look to approve minutes of a meeting you weren't at. And if it's in the consent agenda, it's very easy to do that. In my opinion.
Because I'm hearing what you're saying, I think the first step, we have a motion, if we get a second there,
Okay.
then we can remove these from this.
Okay.
And then the conversation with the chair following up for Lori and myself is that from now on, the suggestion, and I don't even think that takes an action, but that you can go that route, would be that minutes start the meeting, which is, many boards do that, so that's what I'm
Approve the
hearing.
agenda and
But
approve the minutes.
I would recommend we have a motion,
Okay.
if we could have a second to remove it, then we'll remove it, and then we'll go back to it sounds like there's more that we want to remove, but however you'd like to handle it.
Yes, I agree. So if we could have, Althea moved, to remove approval of the emergency board meeting minutes.
Second.
Director Stevenson seconds, so if we can vote on that action, right, then we can go back. Okay, so we're voting on the motion to remove approval of, board emergency minutes. Director Stevenson?
Aye.
More Joyce and I.
Director Ender?
Ender, aye.
And Franklin, aye. Okay, so it has been approved that we will remove the, emergency minutes, and we are now back to discussion of consent agenda. Do we want to make that a formal motion, or do you just want a suggestion for next time?
Just a suggestion.
Okay, great.
And then I have a motion that if we're still talking about things in the consent agenda, to remove the personnel actions and discuss. There's a personnel, actually they're not on the agenda, but we have, or maybe they were removed.
No, they're there. Personnel recommendations is under consent.
But we have there are two documents related to that, so it's two agenda items, but.
It's two on the comments agenda, but it's one on the actual
Okay.
consent.
On the comments, yeah. But that's not publicly facing document, correct?
So yeah, I'd like to propose removing the personnel actions and discussing those.
I heard that would need a second.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay.
And then also, like, since I have questions on it, I would also motion to remove the resolution to set deal prices, because I'm the new guy and I don't understand.
We
I
have to
just-
vote on the personnel
Oh, sorry.
recommendations movement first.
FYI, you don't have to take it out of the consent agenda just because you have questions. You can still talk about it and ask, and you take it out if you want to vote separately on this purchase or purchase.
Okay.
And just FYI also, minutes are very commonly part of the consent agenda. That's pretty much one of the main things they tell you to put on the consent agenda, because we actually end up all voting for consent agenda, but in reality, what you're doing for your agenda is everyone is agreeing to approve them. So there is just by consent, unanimous consent usually, so.
Okay, but the motion at hand right now is to remove personnel recommendations from the consent agenda. So that's what we're discussing.
Yes, that I would like to do.
Forever? Like you're asking for today or in
At least
general?
for today, so we can talk about why we have them in the consent agenda ever.
Okay, is there any more discussion on the removal of personnel recommendations, Althea? No, you ready to vote? Okay, Dr. Stevenson?
Stevenson, aye.
Stewart Anderson, no.
Franklin, no. Althea?
Edgar, no.
Okay. All right, we are keeping personnel recommendations in the consent agenda. And now if there's another motion in the consent agenda?
Given my new knowledge, no, I don't have another motion, but I have discussion.
Okay,
Yeah, especially since there's two people, I think discussion's appropriate.
discussion on the consent agenda as a whole, okay, all right. Yes, discussion,
Personnel recommendations, my understanding is the board is not interested in personnel matters outside of disciplinary action other than the superintendent. So it seemed contrary that the board would vote to approve personnel recommendations, which feels like an action, or maybe I'm misreading it, but it feels like it's asking the board to approve an action by the superintendent. That's a misunderstanding, but we'll have to talk about it.
So it is, thank you. It is an action, so it's an approval, as was kind of shared. So just a little background, Dr. Stevens communicated this, asked a question, I did update board chair and vice chair, but ultimately we did go through the OSBA to make sure we understood. We can do it the way we do it, but we don't have to do it the way we do it. I'm kind of jumping ahead and then I'll back up. And they also recommend that we don't do it the way we do it. The first question is, why do we do it the way we do it? And I don't have an answer. It's before I came here, which is quite a while ago now. So it's just the way it's been. If I was to guess, it was just communication with the board and kind of update. And somewhere along the line, a board member said, can we have this information? So sure, we put it together. What was shared back from OSBA when we asked is the law specifically, as was shared, when it comes to hiring, firing, discipline, the board's one responsibility is myself. Other than annually, the board for license contract for teachers and administrators renews or non-renews the contract by March 15th. Every March you do that. So that is a personal action as well. What this is saying in summary, basically, it's saying that the only personnel actions that law requires board action on are hiring, disciplining, and dismissing the superintendent, and dismissing or renewing, non-renewing licensed teachers. That's the March of all of the personnel actions can, in brackets, and OSBA recommends they should be delegated to the superintendent or their designee. So what Thomas is saying is, okay, well, based on that, why do we have it in here?
Sure.
Do we need it in here? And I don't know if you're suggesting to take it out, but you're definitely asking the question why.
Mm-hmm.
And then down below, I provide a little bit more, but from the representative from OSBA, they said, I recommend your board not voting on hiring, disciplining, or dismissing any personnel beyond the superintendent. And then it gives some reasons, and I sent this to the board as well. So just so you know, that's the feedback that we received based on the question. We aren't doing anything wrong with the way it is, but we don't have to do it. And I believe there's questions from board members, why are we doing it that way? And I don't know, other than we just always done it.
Yeah. And I'll say, that's the reason we keep it on the consent agenda, because we don't really opine on it. Like, we don't have an opinion on it, so we could stop doing it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can appreciate that at some point someone thought it was interesting information and maybe it's more appropriate to tag on to the superintendent's report. But as far as, I don't think you want us being in your business, and that would, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. So I think potentially we did that out of order then,
Well,
because now we have to reconsider.
Well, we could do it going forward.
yeah. And I was gonna say, if you don't mind, if everyone's in agreement, you could approve them this time, and then we, in our agenda setting meeting, kind of go through, do we want this on the agenda or not, and or how do we do things differently, and then I could update the entire board. Like, for example, fall's coming, we're gonna have a lot of new hires. but not through any kind of action. It could just be a superintendent update. Look, here's the new hires, how many, and I typically do that anyway, only we've been focusing on openings, not hires. So there's different ways we can do it, but again, so I don't know if you're comfortable approving it this time and then moving forward, but if not, that's up to the board.
I have to consent to it because there's nothing wrong with consenting to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say for the future, a better, in my opinion, best practice would be to remove it.
Yeah, I will say I don't care about the names, but I like seeing the numbers of what's going in and out, you know, so. And I do like the bigger names, like, oh, we're gonna, not that we have to prove it, but just like the second part of the consent agenda, which just says who was technology and network services manager and this person becoming assistant principal. Those names I would like to know. I don't have to consent on them, but I would still love to get them.
Yeah, we could do the updates, they just would be agenda action items, even in consent. Okay.
Thank you. And one nugget of wisdom I received this last weekend was, that I appreciated, was not worrying so much about pleasing Roberts and know that we're here for the kids. And so I apologize for
No, you're fine.
any motionary missteps, but I'm trying not to get too anxious about it.
All right, so I think we're back to the original consent agenda, is that correct? And if there's more discussion?
I have more
Okay.
discussion.
Go ahead.
The resolution on set meal prices for the 2025-26 school year, can you tell me what that means? Because I can't tell if we're now asking their families to pay for these meals, or that's just a number the district comes up with to know how to balance the books behind the scenes.
So every year we need to come and set meal prices. At this point in time, our meals are covered under the community eligibility program, but say like our adults don't get free meals, so our staff. And then like if for some reason, I'm just gonna make something up, if we had visiting students from another district, we would need to, and for some reason they were here for lunch.
Okay.
So that's where these things come in, so into play.
Thank you.
Just a bit of a follow-up question on that. Pat, is in the resolution, it looked like the be it further result at the end said that about not being charged for breakfast price as they qualify for free meals. But does that also include the lunch price? Is that it's all under the community eligibility provision, or is that separate?
That is a similar program, yes, for lunch. Mhm. And I did notice that it says August 8th and it should say August 14th, so we'll make that correction on the resolution.
I have some more questions, unless there's some in the room.
Go for it.
Okay, with the contract and purchasing, so Pat, this is kind of a question for you with the item that was, I think it's Silky, the two-way radios. What is that increase in price due to?
Oh, it's like the 5th row down.
Yep.
Oh, no, on the second
Second
page.
page.
Second page.
So in part, that's a contractual increase. And look here.
Okay. So it's like more radios, or we need to pay more for that contract?
Pat's looking out the edge, she's currently in her laptop,
Okay.
I know you can't see it,
Okay,
she's
sorry.
scrolling through to find, yeah.
This is didn't mean to spring any of these questions on you. I think there was a short turnaround time with some of
There
receiving
was for
these
this one,
documents.
I
Okay,
apologize.
just wasn't sure. I tried not to do this week to week.
Let's see here. If I can find. And then I think, some of this also is, preschool related.
Did you
And
say
so
summer
I
school
think-
related?
Yeah, I think they did add in the preschool. This year, I think they forgot. And so part of it is a price increase, and then I think part of it is they forgot to add in, cause all the preschool ones that are under grants,
Mhm.
I think they forgot to make that into the calculation, so.
Okay, and we expect that price to hold through the end of the contract then, because it ends in June?
Through the end of
2026?
this year.
Okay.
Yeah, unless
Okay.
for some reason we add more radios.
With, sorry, next question, with the item Brown and Brown, so the excessive XAM coverage.
Yeah.
Is that where we were at, like previously, is that pretty much the same every year? Or is that, you know, a unique increase?
So that's a little unique, and that will be going forward. And so if you recall during our insurance discussion, a month or two ago, the PACE is our provider. However, they are not going to, they previously had $20 million in their coverage for folks that are participate in the trust. Starting this year, they decreased that to 10 and they encouraged everybody to get additional insurance to make up that. And so we brought that earlier. This is actually gonna go through Brown and Brown. It's gonna go through, a different provider than PACE. So we are gonna pay Brown and Brown for the additional coverage through a separate provider.
Okay. Thank you. The next one is a little bit minor, and anyone can answer it. The Morphine Magic, I think this is one that doesn't need approval, or oops, maybe it is one of the, sorry, small one. Gosh, where did I see Morphine Magic? The question is that the ECRI program? Yeah, it doesn't need approval. It's the 95% group Morphine Magic training and implementation support. Is that the ECRI program? I'm just trying to connect the dots.
No, it's okay. No, it's not ECRI, but it is, ECRI-like, but it's for middle school.
Okay.
So our ECRI program is really solid in elementary, in our K2, our foundational years. And then we have, we're starting to try and bring morphines and some of the science of reading into upper elementary and middle school as well. So Morphine Magic is for middle school. So same principles, different program.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then last one for contracted purchasing, again, down in the, doesn't need approval, but it's the Swank Motion Pictures. This is more just a personal curiosity because I've come across other elementary schools who are dealing with, they want to have a movie night. And so, you know, I recognize Swank as the one that allows you to license and have different options. You know, it's cheaper, and then there's like a full educational streaming package. Is that, like, is this something that Menlo Park comes and, like, is this an existing budget thing that is specific to Menlo Park, or is it other elementary schools are requesting this, or how's the district handling movie licensure is the question.
So, are you asking about how we're selecting vendors, or? I'm not
I
quite
guess
sure.
I can hold off on this question, so it could just be like, Althea's
A
curious
follow-up?
about this. A good follow-up, yeah, that's just fine.
Okay,
It was a nebulous question, so that would be a fine result here.
okay.
I do have one last question on Sole Source, and it's just like the Sole Source approval.
Mhm.
Okay, can you remind us why Creative Leadership Solutions is like unique in the professional development and consulting products? It seems like they have a unique service, and I think we've talked about this before, but if you could mention again, what it is about their services that's unique.
So Creative Leadership Solutions is working with the high school on grade reform. And I think what makes them unique is they are branded through Doug Reeves, who is a very highly respected educational researcher in the field. Douglas Reeves, he's been around for a very long time. So this is his company. And then we're also working, as part of that, the consultant that we're working with Creative Leadership Solution is, that's been assigned to us, is Linda Vansel, who, it's great because she works for this she's a retired David Douglas High School administrator. So she gets the benefit of getting all of the learning and training from this highly reputable organization, plus she knows the school and all the inner workings of the school and the history, so she gets to bridge the two. But the company is branded through Doug Reeves and his organization.
Okay, thank you. And that is it for me now.
All right. Okay, so, yes?
Before we finish, one last thing, I did a little bit of digging. Voting to approve the minutes doesn't, you can vote to approve the minutes even if you weren't there. There's something also didn't know. You don't abstain because you only vote against it if you have evidence of inaccuracies. If you trust that the minutes were taken properly, then you just vote to approve them. So that's why they can be on the consent agenda. FYI.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so with that said, we are voting on the revised consent agenda that has removed the approval of the emergency board meeting minutes. Director Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Dr. Inder?
Ender, aye.
Franklin, aye. So the revised consent agenda passes. I'm assuming now we need to vote on the emergency minutes separately, yes?
Yes, but if just FYI, with the new light of new information, Althea can vote yes, even if they were not present at this, because I won't say why, but 1, 2, 3 would not pass.
We could table it.
Yeah.
All right, let's can I have a motion for this item, please?
Motion to approve the emergency board meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, Director Ender?
Oh, could we have a?
Yeah, actually, sorry, go ahead, yeah, any discussion?
Okay, sorry, I wanna just make sure, it's hard for me to hear, Director Stevenson, so,
Sorry.
yeah, it's not your fault. Just, if I pause to understand what you've said, or some can restate it if possible, but, I just wanted to make sure I know that there was some correction, and so I'm looking at the most recent version, and so just wanted a quick discussion of like what was in that meeting now is reflected in this most current version for all the folks in the room.
It's my understanding that it's correct now.
The
Great.
most recent one shared, and I imagine it's on the website, is accurate. The previous version included a board member who was not in attendance, and so that was the inaccuracy.
Yep, and it's been corrected.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. Thanks.
All right, if that's the end of the discussion, Director Ender, would you like to vote?
Ender, aye.
Stevenson, aye.
Richardson, aye.
And Franklin, aye. All right, very good. Moving along, we are to agenda item 8, board member replacement process. Oh, sorry, I don't have it in front. Here we go. All right. So, I'm just gonna read this. The district seeks school board applicants. The David Douglas School Board seeks applicants to fill a pending vacancy on the board. Well, it is a vacancy on the board. At the last board meeting, board member Gabriela Sedal Lopez resigned from the board, position 4, because she moved out of district. So we intend to seek a replacement for the board during the September 11th board meeting. So that's the next board meeting. Some details about this replacement. There's 2 years remaining in that current term for position 4, and it expires June of 2027. So the applicant selected by the board will be sworn in at the next board meeting on September 11th. By board policy, the appointed board member will serve until then, June 2027, which is the next election year. At that time, prior to that time, but seating will be at the end of that. The election will be held in May of 2027, and then winner of that election will begin the next 4-year term, which will begin on July 1st. So applicants will be residents. They must be residents of the David Douglas School District for at least 1 year, and they must be a citizen and a registered voter. So those are the primary kind of constraints of serving on the board is living in the district 1 full year and be a registered voter. Applicants must submit an application to the superintendent's office at the address is this address 11300 Northeast Halsey, or you can email them directly to Lori. And we are going to put out the application form tomorrow. It's not up there. Okay, so we have in our top languages spoken. So we have English, Chinese, Russian, Somali, Spanish, and Vietnamese applications. Let's see. What else is there to know here? The timeline. So again, the applications are going to become available tomorrow. We are going to hold a board workshop here in this room at the district office on August 28th, which is 2 weeks from today, to kind of informal part of it will be to answer questions from potential candidates. And we're also, the other part of that workshop is kind of a board 101. So there's a good crossover, we think, and kind of what that workshop will entail. So we're gonna talk about kind of the roles of a school board member on the first part, and go over things like liaison roles, what those are, committee assignments, and kind of just general board work. And then the second part would be more kind of like we can answer questions as board members and so forth. So then applications, you'll turn in your applications by September 5th to Lori. And then on the 11th, which is the next official business meeting, we'll have presentations to the board. So that's pretty kind of what you make of it. You can kind of just introduce yourself, make a speech, or you can, if you have slides in advance, submit those to Lori, right? How long in advance do you ask for the slides?
They can do it anytime up until presentation, basically. I like to get the presentation, like if they do slides for the board packet if possible, but they can do it.
Okay, up until that evening?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then there's usually questions that the board would ask of any potential candidates who's presented. And then that same day, we're going to appoint and seat, because the vacancy is now, so we're looking to swear in at that same meeting. So it'll all kind of happen in the next month. What am I missing? Did I forget anything about the application process? So when it goes out tomorrow, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, it will go out through Parent Square, it'll be posted on the website. Social medias. Yeah, we'll push it out to all channels.
Community partners.
Yeah, and community, okay, great.
Parent ambassadors.
I'm gonna send it to them, I emailed myself a to-do list.
And I would really highly recommend ambassadors to passing this information along, like the meeting on the 28th if possible. It's a really good time to just like, tell me what this is about, like what's the time commitment, what all those kinds of general questions. It's really good space for that. And that meeting will be just from 6:30 to 8:30. So it's pretty short and we do finish right on time. So these meetings sometimes go quite a bit longer, but not bad.
Yeah, and I would say the board wants representatives of the community. So you really it's just as easy as 1 year here, registered voter. That's it.
Okay. All right, good. Moving along, superintendent's report.
You bet. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. A couple things. It's just that time of year. Really excited. Countdown is on, but it's an excited way, right? We know that teachers, for the most part, we heard from our DEA president that some of our staff are already back and have been working through the summer. Some from this day all the way up, but the majority return on August 25th. So we're definitely gearing up for that day and really excited about that day and looking forward to that. Same thing, students is basically September 2nd through the 5th. Remember, we have a delayed start for different grades and different levels, but just looking to that week and doing everything we can fast and furious to get ready and really excited. I've said it before to this board, this time of year, getting our students and families back in our buildings, it just feels right. It feels good having that energy in those buildings. It's missing right now. So I really am looking forward to that, excited about it. Which brings me to the next thing. For the last 3 days, we've been engaged in our admin academy. It's kind of our kickoff with our admin. Again, we're working during the summer, obviously taking vacation as well, but we're all working. But we all come together as a team and really focus on the year. What do we need to get done? And it was just a very successful admin academy. Just real quickly, we basically focused on 4 commitments. One commitment was increase student achievement. Another admin commitment, ensure a healthy and safe environment for students and staff. Another commitment, third commitment is ensure an equitable and inclusive community while elevating student voice. And then finally, commitment number 4, strengthen family and community engagement. And they might sound very familiar because they're very aligned with our strategic plan and equity plan. We just really spent time to focus. A lot of different topics within there. I just want to pull out one separate one because we did have a conversation and planning and guest speakers around immigration. And we've had some communication across our city we could expect to be prepared for a higher level of immigration officers within our community and what that might look like. And specifically thanking our guest speakers, but one of the guest speakers was our very own Jose, came and shared his story, and it was just very well received. All of our administrators, hearing someone with this lived experience willing to share and truly give some advice and direction, it just felt really, really good. So all of our administrators just want tools and want to know the support there and kind of what they can do, what they can't do. So we've developed protocols last year. So nothing's changed other than, we're rebooting a year here. We have a fresh start every year. We don't want it to become something on a shelf. So we really just wanted to spend some time understanding what we need to do. That meeting also was not only our building administrators, it was all our supervisors and managers. So if you think about operations, grounds, food service, all of those pieces, they're out and about in our community. Some of them a lot more than our building principals who are in the building all day. So they understand kind of the process there, the rights, and what they should be doing to protect students if needed. So anyway, with all that said, thank you, Jose, very much. It was great to have you there, and you really made a difference. So we really appreciate it. Couple other things, summer, things slow down, but I thought the board would like to know we have brought closure to this year's summer school. Specifically, I'm talking about our elementary summer school. We had elementary students from 1st through 5th grade at 2 different sites this summer. We had, during the last week, the number was at 263 students, or 82% of capacity. Overall attendance for summer school is about 82%. Students receive 4.5 hours daily academic instruction and 1 hour enrichment. Again, this is just meant as a kind of a heads up. I can give you a more thorough report. The beginning of the program's Acadian scores to the end of summer programs Acadian scores, that's kind of what we measure. That's what we look at for every grade. And I can tell you every grade level went up. So percentage of elementary students who demonstrated growth in reading was 62.8%. Last year it was 57. Percentage of students with growth in reading, first grade, 90% showed growth. Second grade, 78% showed growth. Third grade, 50% showed growth. Fourth, 17 or 18, I'm going to round up. And then fifth, 78% showed growth. So during the enrichment, we had ERCO and MFS. We also had Elevate Oregon Help Support and Oregon Ballet Theater. Just one last thing is we do a survey as well, and our parents got back based on the caregiver survey. 96% of responses stated summer goals were met for their students. Communication, morning academic activities, and afternoon enrichment activities had a 98% or more favorable response. An area where we need to look at, and we haven't had time yet, but it was busing was an area where only 75% of the respondents found effective. So it sounds like transportation during summer, which I could see, but we can't just shrug our shoulders. How do we get better? What do we do? So just a little update. We already talked about these things. Number one is August 19th is a new teacher hire orientation. You did receive an email already related to that, but I will follow up with an email to make sure you get an invite. From 8 till noon is kind of different breakouts and different presentations by cabinet. You're always welcome, but really I think the bigger invite is to lunch. During that time, you'd be able to sit at a table with new staff, new hires, and then there'd be an introduction and just a brief conversation. But really, it's an informal kind of sitting down during lunch if you're available. Also, it was talked about this evening, but the Bond Oversight Committee tour, August 25th. I'll make sure you get that invite as well, a calendar invite if you're available. I know the Bond Oversight Committee specifically asked, are we inviting board members too? So we will get a formal invite to you. Wanted to briefly update budget funding. Good news, not so good news. The good news is we know that the title funds were released, right? That was great news. And for us, as we look at that, we have areas where pretty flat funded. We have areas where we saw some increases, to be quite honest, not significant, not game changers, but still it's nice. And overall, it's coming in that, we don't need to take maybe drastic actions. But we're still waiting on state funding, specifically the SIA grant. Number of different reasons, but right now we don't have solid numbers. So there's still this little bit of a caution that we're kind of easing into things a bit. We're kind of slow on hiring, slow on posting. We're just waiting to see how a few things play out with that. Also, the literacy fund, which is another state fund, we aren't real confident on that number. We're still waiting. One of the biggest things we're hearing from the state is, 197 school districts, they're still waiting on certain information from many districts, so they can't give us accurate numbers until they get those accurate numbers. So we're a little bit trying to do crystal ball stuff. So, Pat, do you want to add anything there? Can you say anything better than I just did? Or okay. So then the other thing is we do know the federal bill, what was it, HR 1 was passed around the federal budget coming to the state. Again, impacts to education specifically, none specifically. But if you saw the governor's release this last week or looked at the DAS report, Department of Administrative Services, they, based on their side-by-side audit of it, it's going to impact the state of Oregon to the tune of $15 billion. So the state of Oregon will be getting $15 billion less. It's hard not to believe that that would not impact schools in some way, shape, or form. And for sure, if it wasn't schools directly, indirectly services for our kids and families, which we rely upon and want to partner with. But there's also been hints at the state, hey, if we have human services at some level, do we have to look at, yes, we gave schools, but do we have to reboot, for lack of a better term? Again, that's very informal, what if, but there's definitely worries about that money coming to the federal government or lack of money coming from the federal government to the state. So if you didn't see that article, again, it was in the Oregonian, and our governor released a statement. We aren't ready this time, but I'm going to bring it or ask that we bring it, and we will. Over the summer, we developed and put together what we think is a better tool iteration for complaint tracking. It came from a question that we received early in the year, and the idea there, Ida and Tay took a lead on that. We met, and we're planning to bring it and share with the board. Our hope is to one, try to keep track of kind of areas of complaints, one, specific complaints, two, and then report out on it. And I don't know a cadence for that. I don't know if it's quarterly. I don't know. It's kind of, we'll see how it plays out. But we'd like to formalize that with the board and just share with the board what we're seeing and kind of why, go through that. So just excited about that work. And then the last thing I think I'll table because it's going to come up, but cell phones is still a very big conversation, a lot going on. I know we're going to talk about in policy. We definitely talked about it with our admin during Admin Academy. We have some plans, some areas we're pretty tight on, areas we're loose on, obviously following the direction of the policy and where we land. But long story short, about 90% of the policy really baked. It's not, I know we want to get parent involvement too, and we will, but the reality of what that says, majority of it is you have to do this. They are off and away, bell to bell. There's no questions, there's no negotiations on that. So those are the things we talked about, and I'll share more during the policy conversation about kind of some ideas the admin had and those. That's my superintendent's report tonight.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Back on the board member replacement process, I realized we forgot a pretty critical requirement is you cannot be employed by the district.
Sure. You may not be employed by the Douglas School District.
Lord, you might want to add that to the application.
Okay.
Cannot be employed.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. That was the Acadians data. Just stuck out. The fourth grade data being so much different than the rest of the growth. What do we have any idea why?
Not at this time. I think we have to probably look at attendance, and unpack that a little bit more, but we certainly can.
And remind me, did we, recruit students based on any sort of literacy data? I know the goal was literacy based, yeah?
Yeah, we looked at the Acadians data from spring, and we were looking at those students that were coming in the lower 20%. And that was the first round of invitations, yeah.
Okay, was it the slower growth or you're saying, or just they had been in 20?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the first time, yeah.
Very cool. Since we're reflecting on superintendent's report, I was gonna say this for later, but, I was at a, immigration, like a Migra Watch training this week, and I was, other school members were there from Beaverton and, city councilors, and I was talking to some people, and it floored a lot of people that we did an hour on immigration for all the admin. I've started talking to numerous of the board members, and I just want everyone to know that our cabinet and our district do so much more than what is required for our families. I think it needs to be said because it's important, and I appreciate so much the work Terry and Ken and all of you are doing, because a lot of school districts are putting these resolutions saying we protect our kids, but here everyone's doing the work and like really trying to look out for these families and having their best interests at heart. So I want you to know that it's not unnoticed, and it is a lot more than everyone's doing. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Jose, and can I just add to that, our building administrators, our supervisors and managers who are in that training, and they're taking it to heart because they want the information, they want to serve our students in need. So our administrators, I think I said it probably 10 times this week, best in the state, best in the state, they really are part of David Douglas, believe in David Douglas. So, but thank you very much, I appreciate that.
My eldest, she waited too long to mention it, but she was sad that she did not go to summer school.
Oh,
So I she's like, I love going to school. I wish I'd gone to summer school. I was like, wow, that is a different time. So another little feather in David Douglas's hat. The awesome work.
Anyway, all right, thank you, Ken. Moving on, we are back to Pat with the financial and investment report.
So we anticipate the next economic forecast at the end of August. As Ken mentioned, we did get our title allocations as the federal funds went frozen. He also mentioned student investment account, early literacy grant allocation. So just a reminder, the early literacy grant allocation that we budgeted was double what we had received last year. Basing it, we were being optimistic that the governor and her stance on early literacy would get pushed through. Did not, so we'll be looking at about 700,000 in reductions in that. Yeah. Again, the student investment account, 11% increase was the governor's recommended budget. Again, that's about $1 million less than what we budgeted, so we'll be doing some pivoting and figuring out some different options. That funding is probably going to be pretty much flat, and so it wouldn't even absorb salary increases. So we'll be looking at what we can do best to mitigate that. Let's see here. General fund. So we projected in the adopted budget about 22.5 million as the beginning fund balance. Right now, it looks like it's coming in a little bit lower at 21.6. Nutrition services fund. So I did want to bring that to your attention. We did put in a new inventory system this year. So we have a newer nutrition manager. She wanted a different software system, and we found that there was actually a duplication of expenditures. So that ending fund balance is higher than anticipated, in part due to that, and also in part due to, I think she was anticipating the summer construction getting down a little sooner, as she has to spend down her balance. Grants fund was pretty close, 3.9, we projected 4.1. And capital projects, we projected a balance of 84. We're coming in at about 88.5. That's just basically timing of projects. Investments, so biggest thing there, local government investment pool. You can see that rate from last year has ticked down from 5.2% to 4.6%. Any questions?
I do not have any questions. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Pat. All right, so we are to board policy first read. That is all of you.
Well, first of all, just so everyone knows, Director Stevenson's also in the policy group now as well. This is not just me and Althea. The first two were started before Director Stevenson joined the group, but we worked extensively with Tay over numerous months and shot it back to OSBA. And you can see the different policies that we have there. They're around equal educational opportunity and non-discrimination on board governance. Just updating the language a little around things like immigration. And one thing I like that we have is perceived or actual is in here, because I know that a lot of kids are getting bullied or things are happening because people they just look like someone who might be of a different immigration status even if they were born here. So a lot of thought went into the different groups, and we can certainly talk about them in further if you would like, but these two for me were very straightforward. A lot of work. Thank you, Tay, for all the work. But yeah. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
I would say a lot of the language is again around the heightened sort of concerns around immigration, protected class, and I would also say our underserved population, ensuring that we were clear in where we stand within David Douglas and how we will continue to support our families and our students.
Yeah. And I will also make note that I've heard from bigger school districts that are saying, oh, well, if you are going to put in your policy, maybe we can put it in our policy. So, kind of nice. The third one is the one that we need to talk about more. Cell phones. Fun. I'd rather not talk about this one as much, but basically right now the policy that's in front of you is the draft policy, not exactly, but what's been suggested by the USBA. Originally, we had tried to draft our own policy based on the executive order, but there is also a law still on the books from 2013 regarding personal electronic devices that also has to be included in this. So we can't just look at the governor's executive orders when thinking about cell phones. We have to still look at all those laws. The hope is that in the short session, they will tackle the old laws and make everything more aligned. But so we may be looking at this again in a year. But for now, this is pretty much what we're told has to be in there. And there were a few places that we had a little bit of leeway. And I think Ken had some great suggestions. I don't know if you want to share those, but
I'd be happy to. So, and I don't know how deep you go, but the one suggestion that specifically was discussing is in part of the policy, it gives bracketed areas, and those bracketed areas are kind of like, which direction do you want to go for? And many times during the board process, policy development process, those come to me first, and I usually highlight for the policy team to say, oh, okay, this is what the district's suggesting. And of course, the board can go a different direction, but kind of share. In this case, it went from, I'll give some examples, I don't have it quite in front of me, but it went from all phones will be locked up as soon as you walk in school, to phones must be stored in lockers, you can choose that, or phones choose in backpacks. So there was a number of different options saying, where would you like to go with this? I was interacting a bit with Jose that I took a stab at some language that was really a catch-all. And I'm doing that because our different levels are different and some buildings are different. So what I wrote is a possible suggestion, and we'll make sure to get this to everyone, is personnel electronic devices must be stored in district-provided pouches or secure storage when provided. That's the key, when provided. If storage is not provided, students must keep their devices in their lockers, backpacks, or on their persons, following each school-specific guidelines. No matter how stored, personnel electronic devices may not be used during the regular instruction hours. So it's kind of a catch-all, and I understand that, but we could be updating this policy 3, 4, 5 times, and the administration is very interested and would like to recommend that we roll this out to start the year. That from day one, even if we don't have the policy done, even if the state's still working on stuff, we know what the executive order says. So here's a little bit of catch-all. It also is different. What's happening in elementary and the elementary principals are recommending is different than the high school. For example, another piece of the policy says that you should have steps, right? First step, you see the phone, please put it away, and I'm overgeneralizing. Second step, you see the phone, take the phone away, give it away at the end of the day. Third step, see the phone, take the phone away, give it to the office, now caregiver comes and gets it. There is the option for a fourth step. Most of the elementaries kind of, well, we probably will never need that, but it's there. But the high school specifically is saying, hey, that fourth step, what we'd like to do, and the way we're thinking about it is you're on a contract, you put on a contract with a family, but they're asking the district to explore buying pouches. That's when we'd use pouches, anywhere from 100 to 200 pouches. We're looking at possibly around $30 a piece for the pouch. So it's not 300 grand. It is money, but the money came with it. But we are exploring that as a tool. The high school, for example, has already purchased kind of these caddies for phones. And these caddies where students can put phones in them. They're kind of talking about, okay, how's that used or not? Jose brought up a great question. Well, isn't it better in a backpack than in a pocket? So, for example, the high school's been talking to a lot of other buildings that are ahead of us on this and did it last year. And they recommend having like separate type bags. Because the caution I asked, or we talked about a little bit, and I brought up to Jose, is yes, not every student has a backpack, might not bring a backpack every day. You know, then what do we do? How do we do this? And what other districts did would like have literally Ziploc bags or other kind of bags. So kids have to put it in that and put it in their pocket. It's on them, it's not in the backpack, but it's in a bag. So there's kind of this layer. So they're exploring options like that we're thinking about. The other one is well, let's just put it all in the lockers. Well, many students in today's schools, our schools anyway, don't even use lockers. And then there's another caution with lockers that if I do have a locker partner, you're forcing me to put my phone in the locker, and then I go back and my locker's gone, phone's gone or whatever. Now it's just a mess, right? And Florence didn't take the phone, but where is it? What happened? So those type of things to say you have to put it in the locker, we want to give it as an option, right? But to force or mandate it, so anyway, that's what we're looking at for that piece. Most of the rest of the policy, and I'll pause because I know the policy team did a lot of work on this, is pretty straightforward, and it's right out of the executive order, like those steps, like you cannot discipline, like those type of things. The one other one that we're still waiting for because it is so or could be so litigious is, and it's pretty straightforward, but we want to make sure we do it right. Is how do I get an exception to this? Because in the executive order, you can get an exception for an IEP, for 504, or documented medical condition. There is an administrative rule to this policy in AR that gives kind of the application, but we're still waiting on some guidance around that. And Florence is definitely engaged with her colleagues around the state, around our region. So specifically, I mean, it's pretty simple if it's already in the IEP or in the 504, but we're expecting families are going to come forward and say, wait a minute, it needs to be, so we're going to have a plan for that, what that looks like. And then also for a documented medical condition, right? That's a key, and how are we going to process that? So we're still working on that as well, but it is in the draft policy, and there is an AR already kind of drafted around that.
And I will say to that, there's one that kind of has a little bit more leeway for like cultural reasons that someone might need their cell phone, like, so that it's not necessarily a doctor or an IEP or anything, but they need translation services, their parents, or certain different things. So there is a catch-all, but that's where the guidance is coming in. I know that even as of this weekend, we were at the OSBA conference, and I was talking to Spencer, and he's like, we're meeting Spencer's the policy guy at OSBA. Huge meeting with the governor's office like this week. So everything's still, I think that was the biggest thing, whether you agree with the policy or not, everyone's trying to kind of had a hard time with the runway we've been given to do this implementation. So we're doing the best we can. I appreciate the help that Ken has given. I think for me, the big thing is that we revisit this policy in like 6 months, whether they give us different guidance or not, to have it fit what is actually working in our schools. I don't want policy for the sake of policy and then we do something different in our schools. I want our policy to reflect what's best for schools. So if we come back, if Principal Busher says, well, this isn't working, they keep it in their pockets, they always take it out anyway, so no pockets, or she says, oh, they keep it in their pockets, it's great, no one's still not doing. Like, I want our policy to reflect what we see in our schools. I want to engage the kids so they have buy-in, but again, most of this is law, so they don't have much say. So I'm really, really interested in hearing what the staff says is working in practice. I think that's going to give us a lot of information.
Yeah, and the intention of the possibility of this language, and it's, I'm sure not perfect, but is guiding pencil. So like if the high school is like, oh, no, we do not want it in pockets, so then this is what we're gonna do, alternative to that. So that's the idea.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a toolkit released August 12th that we're anxiously waiting as well, because there were supposed to be sample letters, sample communication tools, sample kind of opt-out or processes, and that's not out yet. Again, and so they communicated, they're just, I think, fast and furious trying to keep up with the questions.
And they've said some of the stuff will be available in multiple languages as well.
So a little aside, that two things, but one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, just because of the conversations I have with my kids around cell phones, is outside of this a little bit because it opts out or it kind of excludes busing. But my kind of belief or understanding from listening to kids and kind of a lot of the conversation around this just nationally is a lot of the really unsafe behaviors with cell phones happen in those group settings at lunch and especially on the bus.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, I can't see how it exactly fits, but I'm wondering around communication that we're rolling out around busing and, that.
Yeah. So, and very specifically, the intention is there's also another bracket area that kind of talks about busing a little bit, but ultimately it's bell to bell. So technically, at the bus stop and then on the bus. The reason on the bus they're giving very specifically, which I do agree with, although I understand what you're saying and, it's up to the board to provide guidance here. But the reason is because one bus driver trying to manage a phone while they're managing a 45, they just don't want to go there. But they're talking about during the day, if it's a field trip where a teacher is on the bus or an assistant or staff are on the bus that's not the driver, then you would not allow phones because there's someone to monitor it. And then kind of after school, bell to bell, it's up to the district to decide if someone's going to a sports or a band concert or something like that. You can do it after, or you can say it is after the school day. So that's where the district has leeway. It's not necessarily directed by the EO.
Yeah, and I think about a little bit outside of the scope of like enforcement, just expectations, I guess, and where our expectations lie around all those spaces. Because, I think I always think about the bus ride to school, particularly kind of the upper elementary to early high school, like kind of that real adolescent. And, that's where a lot of the conversation and the unsafe kind of video sharing and seeing things that kids should not be seen on the buses to and from school. And then also, I think we talked a bit about expectations for staff, and I think we already have that, but I think you're, kind of just in the general structure of expectations and norms, just making sure that we're covering all of our bases on those things.
That was brought up as well during our admin academy. We didn't finalize. Technically, our staff handbook already communicates phones off and away, but that's loose and kind of the conversation. I think in general, we need to have those conversations, and that's kind of what we talked about. How do we launch this? How do we launch it with our staff to begin with? What does this look like? And I did want to echo one more thing, that the conversations around translation services, you know, all of that, the administrators will absolutely. So this whole thing, our intention is not to come from a place of gotcha. That's not the intention, and it's not going to work, and that's not where we want to be. So again, the student has a phone off. The first thing is curiosity. What are we doing? It's a translation service. Oh, okay. You know, I mean, those kind of things. So, yeah.
I will say with the teachers, they didn't include that. I talked some in that specifically because there are school districts that the teachers only use their cell phone. Like they don't have intercoms or phones in their rooms because the buildings are so old, so they have to be able to check their phone during the school day because someone can't just go. So they didn't include them because things like that. There was something else I wanted to add, but I forgot.
Does David Douglas, could David Douglas confidently say that any classroom has a way to communicate out of it other than a cell phone?
No, I wouldn't say confidently. I would say majority, and I'd want to say absolutely, but we have enough buildings old enough that I can't guarantee that. I'm sure there's some. I know that phones, I mean, this is the hard part with staffs and adults, you know, texting a teacher, texting the principal. I mean, that's just common, happen, you know, so there's some of that we're just gonna have to navigate. What does this look like?
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. I completely hear Heather's concern about on the buses and things like that. There is the one part that says, actions taken by a student violate another conduct policy.
Yeah.
It's they can so, but that's always been there.
Yeah, that's
It's not, yeah, exactly. But there is a little bit of leeway to still do something about that.
Just having the phone out is put away, navigate. Having the phone out, use something that violates some other rule, even up to law, to be quite honest with those and photos and stuff, then that's a different pathway.
Oh, and I did want, sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but one thing I did want to express, which I've expressed it to Principal Busher already, and this is not in policy, having the discipline, you can't miss instructional time. But another piece is that being in our community where so many kids come from poor families, that getting a detention or something like that for just having their phone out can be really difficult. So I challenge Busher to try to come up with other ways to get that discipline and get that through the kids without saying detention or Saturday school, because these kids have jobs, these kids have brothers and sisters they take care of. There's a lot of things that and some of them might be checking their phones for things like that, like, oh, I had to go to work, you go pick up your sister, things like that too, so.
We didn't even talk about that, so I don't know where, but I can tell you the biggest consequence, I think, out of this is the phones taken away. And I think that's the biggest, motivator, of course, director versus motivator, for a student is they don't want that phone taken away.
Well, they say 2 weeks makes a habit, right? So if at a certain point they have to lock it up for at least 2 weeks or a month, then they might just have the habit of no longer taking it out.
Hope so.
Let's hope so. But we can hope.
My feedback on this would be same as Jose is I don't want to see discipline come out of having my phone out. That seems but it'd also be cool to see some carrots given out of like how we do attendance. We make people feel good for attendance. Why not? Hey, I know you have a cell phone. I never saw it. Something to motivate them to at least get them started to keep that phone away instead of just always being negative about it.
All right.
Can I jump in with a comment? Sorry.
What's that? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick comment that, attended the Oregon School Board Association conference and lots of good discussion around this. One thing that there wasn't like a satisfactory answer was just around kind of like evaluation and impact. So I think there is some, I think the state is doing that. But I'll be curious, and I'm not gonna try to plan out what it would be, but I am looking forward to the feedback on this, even if it's anecdotal, as we kind of go forward to see what are the complaints and also what are the successes, things like that. So looking forward to hearing.
Absolutely. All right, very good. So we did not have any public comment, so if everyone's fine with that, we're gonna breeze on past that, right? Okay, board liaison and committee reports. I will just start by saying I do not have a committee report or board liaison, but the assignments should be finalized in the next couple days. There's a detail or two that I still want to clarify about a couple items. But for the most part, the draft is pretty well sorted. So if there's any last comments, and we can obviously always amend, but the committee assignments, Lori, I hope to have to you in the next soon. That's all for me. Anybody else? No?
Yeah, I also don't have a formal report from my liaison position, but attended this last Sunday Parkways and tabled with the District 10. Thank you, Cassie Wood, and I just really appreciated the neighbors, students, families, district folk who came by. Good conversations. I'm glad we're participating in that right by Lincoln Park.
Yeah, very good. And the four of us that went to the OSBA Summer Conference are working on reporting some informational. Yeah, looking at one. So we will have that to share out to the full board, and we'll give that to you, Lori, so that it can be made. It's with resources and stuff to share out. We can probably tag into the next, hopefully, consent agenda or something that on the next board meeting. Okay. So
I guess I will say, as part of my liaison report, is that I would love to get on Parent Square. I know, is there a way for me to get on Parent Square?
ask your principal. They will.
But I want to get on all of them.
No, you
Like,
don't.
I know how to turn off notifications. I want to be able to see all the events that are happening. I feel like, yes, I do want to see. Knowledge is power. So,
There's a digest option.
yes.
Cassie approves, yeah. All right, well, if there's no other business, then this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mom.
Appreciate you. Okay. One of those is a question for
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to stop by.
Yeah.
Can you tell parents where to not email you, just like so you can go on the app? See, because I get some parents with emails, but I want to be able to just go on the app.